Welcome back to Task Force Podcast, an airsoft podcast made by the airsofters for the airsofters.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode, Task Force Podcast. I am your host, Snake, joined by my co-host,
Nasty,
who's
always awkward.
Most definitely. It's even awkward that he forgets to say that he's awkward. But we are joined by a special guest today.
Awesome dude.
Yes, a very awesome guy. We got to he's been OG Task Force family.
Yes.
And we finally got to link up with him at Op Radio Silence.
It was badass.
And that is Bechtster, or some people know him as Airsoft Marshmellow. What is going on, my guy?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Dude, we're excited to actually have you on the show. And it's nice to be able to get you in here and just kind of just chit chat with us, because I know at Radio Silence we didn't get to talk very much, so getting to sit down and just talk is kind of
It's going to
nice.
be good. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. And real quick note too, can you imagine if that actually had as many people as supposed to, like trying to talk to like 500 guys or something? That would have been fun.
Right. Dude, I get it. Like, there was so many people that were at that event that if you had actually had the amount of people that they were really wanting to have there, like getting time to actually talk to people would have been so hard. I mean, like, our time was pulled because we were trying to get video interviews before the game actually kicked off and get some exclusives with the other team, because you can't exactly stop in the middle of a milsim where you're actually role playing and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to go talk to the other team now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
although what we have seen thus far has been pretty good, so I'm excited to see the rest of what you guys got.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of stuff that people haven't got to see yet, because I'm working on something else for it, kind of a news broadcast situation that maybe Grimnir can use at their next event, something along those lines. I don't know. Eventually it will make its way out and everybody will get to see it. So if you are waiting on seeing an interview that you took part in that wasn't in game, if it was before the game, or maybe it was during the game when we were in a lull, like we recorded with Bechtster, it was kind of in a little bit of a lull while they were not busy. That stuff will make it out. It just is
in a different
being
light.
Used in a different light.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
absolutely, and it builds the suspense. I like it. So it's like it's going to take months instead of us. Just like everything is so fresh in your mind only a week or two after the mill.
Right.
So all of a sudden it gets dropped in December. You're just like, oh my god, I forgot about that.
Right. Yeah, and that's the part that I think will be kind of cool, is people will get to see this from another light, but kind of a little bit of an inside. Actually, I have a green screen coming. We're gonna do some footage,
dope shit for this
and
video.
That way it kind of has like a cool newscast feeling.
Right.
And
Well, one thing I will say about the green screen, you better make sure you have what the heck do they call those things that the knights used to have when they were jousting? Was it a jousting stick? And just tie it to that and make Nasty hold it. So that'll just make it look funny. But
no, I agree. It would be kind of funny.
That would be funny.
No, we like I said, we got to hang out with you and we got to talk, dude. And your LMG is pretty fucking sick. I really actually liked it quite a bit. What all have you done to that thing, and what is it? Tell everybody about it, because I'm sure they're seeing it in your videos. The thing is fucking kicking in those videos. So
yes, it's a Crytek LMG. It's the Trident 2 series, I believe. It was kick-ass after it failed, actually, because the first 10 minutes in, one of my gears stripped. I actually still have to take it apart and look at it. I believe it's the bevel gear, but in that gear's defense, I've got almost 15,000 rounds through it before that game even started. So, what got me at the LMG roll, though, is this is my second year into airsoft, and I went to a couple different milsim games, a couple with Desert Fox, Operation Bad Blood, which was my first, and I always noticed a massive shortage in squad support role. And seeing that said to me, I'm like, you know what, if this is what we're dealing with. Maybe I should do that instead of the rifleman. Plus, I don't like running around as much as I have.
Right.
But, I'm just like, you know what? I'll hold back. You guys do it.
No, man,
But,
you're preaching to Nasty's choir.
Yes, I
because
love it.
Yeah.
Your man's over there
Right.
always
And-
has ran the LMG.
Yep. And a part of me thinks next season I might need to learn how to shoot left-handed, because I have this fear that all of a sudden my left bicep is going to be massive and my right is going to be like nothing, because holding that thing, oh my God,
God,
it's insane.
Right.
I know
So,
your pain,
but,
because I grew a lot of muscle on my left arm because that was taking the brunt of all my gun's weight, and then I had to started eventually playing with my right hand, trigger finger, left hand. So I get what you're saying.
Give me a second.
Yeah, and putting a sling on is just annoying.
Right. So keep going. Sorry.
But yes, so no, it's okay. Hey, that's how we are. But no, so I saw that, and in end of January, I was able to go to Desert Fox events out in California, and I was able to stop at the e-bike outpost and actually physically get my hands on some of these different AEGs. And the Crytek one I fell in love with. But before I actually bought it, I put out to a bunch of my subscribers, hey, I had 4 LMGs that I had in mind. Which ones do you guys think I chose? And kind of got them involved. It was really fun. But ultimately, after doing the research and seeing that most of the events I want to go to would accept that Crytek LMG as a squad support, that was my big choice. Because there's some LMGs that are on the market that they don't recognize.
Right, and you made a good choice with the one you picked. So, when we were at Radio Silence, when was it that gearbox that started giving you issues? Was it very first, at the very beginning?
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. It's like literally the doors had just dropped. We're getting into position, and the lights click on, and my heart starts racing because I'm just like, oh, this isn't good. And they just unleash on us. So I'm, releasing fire back, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, my gear just boop, done.
That's terrible.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I've been pretty scared in my life many times, but that probably has to top it all in my airsoft career thus far. That here I am. I'm in the dark. I'm on my first 40-hour meal sim. I've got BBs flying everywhere. I've got, grenades going off. And I'm supposed to be, a support guy for my team. We were on Hammer 1. And 10 minutes in, now I'm just that guy sitting there with nothing but a pistol and a grenade.
Right.
So
well,
I was not happy.
Here's a question I didn't get a chance to ask you. What made you have a secondary gearbox, or what was your option when that happened? Like when that gear stripped?
Okay. The reason that I had a second one is actually from a previous event last year. I was in Summit, New York. I was at an event, and at the time I had AEG by the brand Bolt, and it kept giving me problems. And at that event, funny enough, like the first hour into it, I had the bevel gear strip on me. And I didn't have a backup at the time. I didn't have anything else. So my Milton was ruined. And I ultimately packed my stuff up and went home because, again, I only had a pistol. I wasn't about to run around, So with that experience, I then made sure that I would have extra parts. And with it being a Milsim that we couldn't go back to our vehicles, I didn't have the option to be like, all right, guys, I'm going to walk off the field. Let me take a half hour and replace this.
Right.
So I made sure beforehand I bought an entire secondary lower off Hop-Up, which is an awesome app, by the way. If you haven't used it, guys and girls, I'm telling you, get on there. It's awesome. There's a lot of good people. Yeah, there's some bad stories, but it is. So I got a whole second built, and I brought that with me in case I would have a catastrophic failure. And typically, it's either going to be the gearbox or your motor. And sure enough, it did. So it kind of stunk because that was my really upgraded lower, but
right, but you still ended up having fun and making it happen.
Absolutely, because that, like I said, that would have been 10 minutes in. I would have been like, okay, I just drove 4.5 hours and I got to play, 3 seconds. So
on your first 40 hour, which is Radio Silence, and you said with Hammer 1, correct?
Yeah, we were initially Hammer 2, but we just didn't have enough of our guys that actually showed up, so we just got kind of blended into a Hammer 1.
how did you? What? Okay, talk to me through your experience through being meshed with Hammer One, and from pretty much beginning to end, as you quick as you can. How was your experience at Radio Silence?
It was surreal, if I had to put it into one word. I loved it and hated it all at the same time. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, any of these things. And, I had those comm headphones on that also noise canceling. And I will say that those things saved my ears so much in that first night, because we were in those storage containers. Yeah. And we just had tag rounds after grenades after this, like just coming in and just destroy. Like, I'm like, I already have enough hearing loss with these things on, and I'm just hearing this loud bang. And my first thought was, I'm like, man, if I didn't have these,
right, it'd have been bad. Trust me, we didn't have Ear Pro that would like quiet it. Even from our container wasn't being attacked initially, but trust me, the boom were loud enough to make your ears ring.
Sorry, I'm back in here. My wife was going ham on one of them kids, and that's fine. So, but no, I agree with Nasty. I caught the tail end of that. In this first episode, of Radio Silence, there's a grenade that was so close it went off, and you could see the light flash on my face, and I said, "Fuck!" And it's because it actually caught me off fucking guard. It was so loud and so close, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it did. It was bad.
Oh man, dude, I was standing in the container, and I was actually hit at that point, and I had my red light on, and I just hear the tink noise that you never. I don't know if it's just born in our DNA. You just hear this tick noise, and your world's about to be effed up. You're just like, okay, like great.
I've heard a lot of loud shit, but nothing in my life will ever compare to airsoft grenades inside of metal shipping containers.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I will go on the record to say I think that decibel was louder than my mom could ever scream. So
I don't know. My wife hits a very peak.
She does.
I'm like over here like, God damn.
So I'm pretty much, they took how loud your wife can be and said, how can we make an airsoft grenade equal that?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what they did.
That or even, well, now that I think about it, actually, I would say that outbeats a father's sneeze, because we know how loud that
father's sneeze is pretty funny.
And oh man, yeah, earthquake in China's going. So but yeah, so I mean, and within the first hour, I probably asked myself maybe once every 20 seconds, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I was just like, but it was fun, and I knew that what the setting was, but still I was like, man.
Right.
And of course, CFI did a great job in not letting us sleep. Our guys had the first fire watch from 01 to 0300, and they decided to attack us again at like, what was it, 3:15?
Yeah. So you're tired, you want to get some sleep, and then they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And what made it really bad was that it was unintentional, but we got assigned the most front container of Forge 11. And when I first saw that, I'm like, man, we're just going to get blunt force of everything. So at one point, it's like 4:30 in the morning or something. I'm sitting down next to my bag, and I've got my red light on, and I just, out of nowhere, I just go fall right off to the side. I'm like, I just slept right through the rest of it. I'm like, you know what? I heard, at one point, I heard some guy yelling. He was like, "Are you guys sleeping? What the hell?" And I'm just like, man.
Hey man,
I've been up since 7 in the morning. They all got 2 hours of sleep while I was on fire.
Right. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock was like, oh, this is pretty cool. The first raid, this is pretty dope. The 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock raid, and I was like, fuck these assholes, man.
They're pushing it hard.
These assholes. Like, the first raid, I got up, we recorded some more. It was pretty dope. The second raid, I pulled my cover over my head and we just went to sleep. It's like, I can't do this. No, it was pretty cool. Those night raids were a different kind of setting.
So progressing in your time there, was an LMG a good choice, carrying, because you look like you were weighted down with all your gear.
Yeah, I don't regret it one bit. In fact, there was not many LMGs there. And when we lost half of our team on day 2,
Yeah.
I think at least one or two of them went with. So at one point, especially at the last fight, I think it was just me and one other guy.
Yeah.
So I was very happy that
damn Venus bears.
that I did that. Yeah. I mean, granted, this event, everybody could use full auto. There's some that, riflemen can only use semi.
Right.
But it's still, being able to shoot further feet per second and not having to change out the mag was that was just a huge advantage many times.
Yes.
So there's a couple times where I was just trying to keep heads down. I was aiming, but not aiming. I wasn't
Right.
trying to take them out like a sniper or a DMR. Like I was just literally slinging BBs.
You were doing
in fact,
your
I think I went
role.
through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went through, I think, 3.5 bags, which was equivalent to about, 10,000, 11,000 rounds.
Yeah.
So I probably would have went through more if I didn't have it go down at the beginning. But yeah.
No, man, I think
So
I
regret
really
nothing.
like just getting to play with you the little bit that we did on the second day.
Yeah.
I thought you were fucking crushing it. Like you
Yeah.
were always on point whenever somebody was needing LMG. You were
Yeah.
right there where it needed to be happening. And you weren't just staying steady either. You were continuing to push the line forward, which is exactly what the LMG
Yes.
is so good for. Like you'd let people get to you,
Yeah.
and then like you would let people advance, and you'd push that LMG up. So you weren't exactly stationary, but you weren't moving all the time.
And,
which really
and there
works a
was
lot.
many points being a gunner myself that I watched how you played, and I was like, if everybody can learn from this man and how to play that role, I think you did it flawlessly. I really did. You were
Well, I
always
appreciate that. Thank you.
you looked beat up. We all looked beat up. We looked tired. But when someone's like, I need a team, first motherfucker standing there was Bechtster with his gun. He's like, let me get him.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. I love the way you played. It was great.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. It was only my second event playing in that role, but all the ones I played before, just watching other guys and gals that played that position and just kind of learned how they work, I was able to use that as my, source. Because I'm not prior military, I'm not prior law enforcement at all. So everything has just been, hands-on experience learning, which in many ways is your best.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was just, and I tried to stay with my squad. I pretty much did all of it except like the last little bit when we were trying to extract. But at that point, I saw what we were trying to do, and nobody was really moving that direction. So I was like, all right, peace. Like, yeah, you were up there, and there's a couple other people, but they were trying to get everything done over there. Like command, not all the time can orders just be given to you. Like you said, that sometimes you just got to assess the situation. Like, can I be out here? Am I useful?
Right.
So, and that was just a couple times where I did. So, and with my comms, that made it so nice. I was able to keep in contact with my leader, which was Spartan, who was awesome. And I wish I could have recorded seeing from my point of view when you guys went to that truck. But
Yeah, that
I
was
would
a
have
sexy little
honestly, I would have laughed. Dude, I would have laughed if they had this huge stuffed bunny in there, or stuffed rabbit rather.
Yes. That would have been actually really
Been like,
funny.
gotcha.
I just know that we were like, we hardcore. They were like rabbits in that truck, and everybody just converged on it. It actually really happened very flawlessly for a bunch of dudes who don't play together all the time. And it just went really smooth, I thought.
Everybody. You have your big teams like Delta Squad and stuff, but there's most people that never really played together, and the fact we all just meshed very well on both sides.
Right. And from my standpoint, back at the containers, I being blind and all of a sudden seeing 30 flashlights turn on, the snake standing at the back of the door ready to kill somebody, the 20 grenades going, dude, that was a magical moment at that
It
game.
was really good. I really wish we would have had some footage, and like that's the only thing in my brain. I'm like, man, we need a night vision camera because goddamn, there's so much good
and
stuff.
I tell you, and it's funny you mentioned that, because when I first recorded the first night with my GoPro, I was like, man, I'm not going to see anything, but I'm like, at least I can get the audio.
Right.
Well, when I came back here and started working, I used Adobe After Effects for most of my videos. And I was just playing around. I'm like, I wonder if I can use, they have this effect you can use. It's called curves. And you can play around with the different light spectrum. So like red, green, and blue.
Right.
So I thought in my head, I'm like, well, we know how night vision works. I'm like, I wonder if I can bring the green spectrum up and use it as a quote-unquote night vision. And sure enough, it actually worked very well. Like, it brought the spectrum up to where I could see a decent amount. Granted, it's not as clear as an actual night vision camera, but it worked.
Yeah.
So moving forward, now I know.
With that. I was watching your footage. Yeah. I was like, man, that's actually pretty good. Because I was like, thinking to myself, I know what you were running. So I was like, it's got to be in post. Because I kind of had the same thing happen. I was like, man, we're not going to really have very much. But our camera actually did a really good job of gathering that light and got some pretty decent shots actually out of the dark even. I was really impressed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now that I know that, I'll start doing more low light recording, because I was just like, well, this is awesome. And to save yourself, God knows how many hundreds of dollars on a night vision camera. Just a simple GoPro and an effect, and boom, we're good.
Yeah. So my biggest question for you was, this was your first 40-hour milsim, and we kind of, I want to say swayed you into it, but we basically was like, hey, go. And so you went. Like, how do you feel like you actually fared? Like, now that you popped that 40-hour cherry, and you seem to be kind of hesitant at first, like, how do you feel about it now after it's said and done? Are you like, fucking next one, please? Or are you like, there's some stuff I need to fix, and maybe I'll do it again?
A little bit of everything. Like, I was very happy after I did it that I got out there. And yes, with you guys interviewing Rabbit from Grimner Tactical, that just sparked me somewhere that I'm like, you know what? This sounds like this is going to be awesome. Because I've had so many other 40 hours I've read about where people are like, yeah, we kind of went and we were just getting barked on, and then, basically having private military guys that were just made it not fun and enjoyable.
Right.
Like, I get certain seriousness, but they're like, it was that serious level that they're like, I don't. And that's kind of what my concern was. I'm like, I want to have fun on a serious note, but not a really serious note with no fun.
Right.
So I was so happy I went, and I learned a lot, both with gear that I had, gear I didn't have, all these different things. Like, when we first went out, I had all my 2 bags were set to be like, okay, cool, we're going to get to our base and da-da-da-da-da. And when they're like, all right, drop your bags here, wherever you don't want to take in the fight, I'm like, what? I'm like, we're going to what? And when we went there, like, with having my guns bail and everything, I'm just like, oh, cool,
Right. I know.
Like,
they're like, ditch your bags and we'll come back for them. I was like, ooh, that's a rough fucking idea. That is.
Yeah, right? Yeah, all of a sudden I just heard that, like, weird horror music that you, like, when there's the killers in the background somewhere and you're like, something is going wrong right now. So. Yeah. But the big thing I learned was that, especially for a 40 hour, is to make sure that, like, a lot of my stuff is tip-top shape. With my Crytek, I did a whole bunch of upgrades, but the way the gearbox is built, you have to use the Crytek gears unless you do a really weird modification. So now that I know the limit somewhere in the 12,000 round range, I'll know furthermore to say, hey, let me replace these gears before I go out there.
Right.
So,
no, that's definitely... That's definitely something that's kind of some food for thought for people if you're watching this and you're wondering. Bechtster actually does a lot of cool little upgrades and things and puts them in the story of his Instagram. So check him out on Instagram if you're looking for some small, short tech tips. He does a lot of kind of cool little inside things that I like to watch, considering I don't fuck with my guns a whole hell of a lot. So
I appreciate it.
No, yeah, definitely, dude. I think you really bring a lot of cool content to the table that a lot of people don't really touch on, or you have a different kind of view on it. Like your radio silence. Well, of course, when we first arrived, we got some talk time before everything really kind of kicked off, and we got to talk about like your backstory you kind of come up with, and I think that's what really makes those games so cool. And getting to see now, like what you were talking about, you wanted to do with the videos coming to kind of that fruition, and now we're seeing it, and you're telling the story of your backstory and also telling op radio silence. It just makes for really engaging content. It's super, super fun to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that was the big thing, especially with this op, that really kind of sparked me when I'm like, these guys actually have a storyline. They're going to be, doing something with it, keep changing. And they themselves, Rabbit and all them, were like, hey, you airsoft players, this is your time to make your own character, whatever it may be, and, create your own storyline with it. So when I heard that, I'm like, I'm down for this, everything I'm trying right now is just as new to me as the event that I went to.
Right.
And to be able to have that creativity side to kind of push things in my own little spin, if you want to call it, or my own, viewpoint.
Right.
That's what's made it so much fun.
Dude, I think that's the one thing that Grimnir did a very good job about. That's what we talked about a lot beforehand, was they have a backstory. It's not just red versus green or blue versus red, whatever. It's
It's bringing your childhood or child mind out.
Yes, absolutely. Because I love watching YouTube videos just as much as anybody, especially when it comes to different airsoft events and everything. But it kind of, after a while, it gets saturated to where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm watching this, yada yada yada, and it's like the airsoft shooter videos. I don't even clickbait any of them. I can't stand them anymore. They kind of put a bad name to airsoft. We know they're there, but everybody does their thing, and that's why I was like, I kind of want to take my little viewpoint of things and spin into a different direction with having a couple different cameras and being able to see those different viewpoints. And even when I'm reviewing some of my footage, like having my selfie cam, there's stuff that was going on behind me that I missed because obviously I don't got eyes in the back of my head like my mom.
Right.
So,
pause it for a second because we're going to restart the camera here. Okay. There you go. Sorry. Our camera will stop recording after a certain amount of time. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah. It's okay.
The only bad part about Canon
versus
Sony.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost like a weird app that people have on their phones now. It's just like, all right, you've been doing this too long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like auto shut off. Fuck you. 30 minutes.
Right. My GoPro's actually been doing that. It's weird. It's like there'll just be times where I'll use it anytime. I'll send that beep, beep, beep. I'm like, what? Just has a mind of its own. It's like, nah, son, I'm gone.
Right. No, man, I still think it's really cool that you were able to, even with, you've got, like, you were running 3 cameras, right?
Yes. Yeah. I had my GoPro on my helmet. I had my selfie camera that was facing towards me. Then I had the run cam on top so you could see when I'm aiming downfield, be able to magnify.
Right. See, and that's the thing that, like, people who don't make videos, or if they do a single camera, cutting that all together to where it becomes something that seems interactive and you want to watch and continue to watch, it is so time consuming. So you get
it is.
You get like 17 hours worth of footage, and then you can slip all these things of footage into a 10-minute video to get quality video. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's where I lucked out was since with our camera angle, we were recording just the action or talking. Like, I don't really have to cut anything. So everybody's like, oh man, the edits and cuts look pretty good. Like, a lot of these cuts, I'm just cutting out some extra bullshit that you don't want to really see.
Right.
I cut it out, and then I just basically go, oh, I'll cut that off, and then I leave the video, and then I cut off something else, and then I leave it. And so it really hasn't been taking me a lot of time, but I also think that that's our kind of our approach, even with the podcast, is kind of raw. Yeah. It's uncut. We don't really do a lot of heavy editing. And that's what is just our kind of our style, I guess. So that's what we're bringing on the gameplay video as well, as far as our style. So if you enjoy it, cool. If you
and that's what makes you not trying to be like, oh, I'm going to try to be like something. Like, your style, your point of view and how you want to run it is, I love it. I mean, I got to see things that you guys were doing while I'm standing 400 yards away, just twiddling my thumbs sometimes. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And being able to see, like, when you guys were taking hostage and all these things, like, that was a big aspect to this Milsim that I don't get to see any other time.
Right.
You're just standing there like, what am I missing, elsewhere? And having those things, I'm looking at when I saw the video, I'm like, okay, this makes more sense what happened.
Right. Because to you guys, we just went off on talking to the local populace, and then the next thing you know, we're on the side of a hill, and Classy got shot. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I know, and I didn't catch that on camera. I was so mad because I was like, the whole time I'm looking, I'm going, I bet you they're going to try to ambush us. I'm like, they're trying to draw attention. I'm not, and I didn't realize it was actually just a regular part of the story. So I'm just sitting there, I'm looking around waiting, just to get topped by a sniper.
Right.
So
part of the illusion.
But yeah. I mean, and when it comes to like the video editing, yeah, it takes time. I think the videos I've been putting on average is taking me 8 to 12 hours of just editing and building and doing these things.
Oh my god.
Yeah. See, and that's insane. It's really just a love of telling the story of what you did or putting some content out there that drives people to do this type of thing. I mean, that's 8 hours of your life that you just sat staring at a computer editing video just because you want people to be able to see it.
Oh, absolutely. And I regret nothing with it. I mean, so much of the stuff, I use YouTube to learn. You know, I've self-taught myself on After Effects, and there's so many different guys out there on YouTube that put these tutorials out there that I'm able to learn, like, oh, okay, so like when I did like the scanning effect, I learned that from, I think it was Lazy FX was the guy's name, that showed it. I tweaked it a little bit to, you know, put my style to it, but just doing that alone took forever. But with those tutorials out there, bless those guys that do those things, because I wouldn't know how to do any of that, you know. And it's just being able to think in my head, like, you know what? I'm a cyborg in 2235. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Yes,
that's awesome.
See, and that's what makes everything so cool. Like I said, with your backstory, like you put so much time, effort, thought, and everything into it, so that way then whenever you're playing it through the video, it just all kind of ties together, and you took a different approach to it than I think a lot of people would have. Like, people were role playing, and I will give them that at this event. A lot of people really stayed in character very well throughout the whole event.
Absolutely.
And at first, I think during the, like, when we were watching I was rewatching the landing, you know, like, people were kind of joking, having fun with it, and it was really funny because we came up, they're joking, they're laughing, they're going on, and then he says 30 seconds, and everybody screams 30 seconds, and everybody shut the fuck up. And right then, hard role play started, and I was like, I like it.
I could do this,
Game based.
Right, and that's what...
Just like, all right, with 30 seconds off, boys.
Yes, and everybody was just like, all right, cool, now we're role playing, we're playing airsoft for 30 seconds of landing, and it's about to get fucking real.
And it was dope.
And then we got shit on.
Hard.
And you know what's funny with that too is, I'm not sure if they touched base on this, but I learned at the end of the event we were the first airsoft to play in that field ever.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing to me. In fact, I was talking to one of my buddies when I got back, and he plays paintball, and he was like, "What did you guys play?" I was like, "Oh, it's at Scrimmage USA." He goes, "Dude, he goes, every July I play there." He's like, "There's a big D-Day style event that they have," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I was like, wow. So like it all was clicking, and we were able to have a chit chat because he played there so many times. And I'm like, oh, all right. And we got to see almost none of that field too. So
Nasty and I actually walked around, and man, if they have another event there's so much stuff that could be done.
Oh my God,
Like, I couldn't even begin to tell you, like, there's like, I thought that the town of Megra was cool. Dude, there is other towns in there that are even more in detail that are
insane.
Oh,
yes. And
there's like a huge castle there or something.
There's two.
It makes DMR's castle look like nothing.
There's two there's two castles there with sniper towers.
The
three
whole
stories, man. I'm telling you, that field is a very good location. And I think hopefully we set a good tone for them on what airsoft can be, because everybody did a great job of cleaning up after themselves. They didn't leave a shitty fucking mess for everybody to clean up. And I thought everybody was pretty respectful towards the field and the facilities and the things that they did have out there. And I mean, I couldn't really have asked for a better event host either, because they really did a good job of saying, like, hey, you guys, we are lucky to play here, and take care of it.
Yeah, and I hope we raise that bar setting for those owners to say, okay, let's try a couple other ones here and realize, a big, and there was actually guys that were playing paintball on the other side of the road too while we were playing.
Right.
That
first day.
Oh yeah, and there was at one point when I was going around to one of the other side towns, and I'm looking down my barrel, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I can light these guys up. And then I'm shooting at them, they're just kind of looking at me, and for a split second I go, if I just load up paintball, guys, this is going to hurt so bad. But
it's going to hurt so bad, but it's going to feel so good.
Yeah, I shot paintballers.
Right. But yeah,
No, yeah, dude. Thanks for taking the time to come
Yeah,
on the
seriously.
show with us. It's really fucking
Absolutely.
cool. Like I said, you're
Yep.
one of the OGs of the task force. You're there on every live. You talk to us
Thank
all
you.
the time, and
Be like Bechtster, okay?
yes,
Be like Bechtster. Be an
Right.
awesome person. Be an awesome airsofter, and just keeping it real, like he
right.
does.
Strive to be
Which-
better, like
right.
Bechtster,
Always.
even just in playing.
Amen.
That's why I sum it all up: play, review, and improve.
Yes,
Go with that. But
that's
also
the
with
approach.
and with you guys too, and all you guys that are out there listening, I got one of these hoodies that these guys produce. Get one; you're gonna love them. They're warm, they're comfortable. Just there's almost no excuse not to.
See, guys, be like
Show
Bechtster.
these guys love. Show
Just
these
buy
support.
it.
Just buy,
Just buy it.
do it.
Still nasty words.
Yeah, just buy it. It's Bechtster approved, so you
Right.
fucking know it's good. Okay, so
Absolutely.
No, but
I
with
appreciate it.
with that being said,
sponsor
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
if you are looking for some badass BBs at a great quality price, 6mm plastic is the people you need to reach out to. They have got all the weights, tracers, non-tracers.
Bios, whatever.
Yes. And you can use code TASKFORCE2020 to get 10% off your order from them. As well, if you want to Gucci up your helmet, maybe get some of those cables out of the way and clean it up and make it look just very swag, you need to check out dynamicfuzz.com, and you can get your stuff from there. Those guys use code TFPOD10 to get 15% off your order from them. And as well, the newcomer, TS Blades, they've got all the badass on-field airsoft knives you could want. They also have a fucking tomahawk. So you're going to want to check that shit out, because you can go Medal of Honor on people's ass. TS-Task Force Podcast will get you 15% off your order from them. Thank you again for joining us, Bechtster,
Yes.
and
Oh
being
my
on the
God.
show. It really is really cool.
Thank
to
you for
have
having me.
on.
It was
No,
awesome.
the pleasure is all
Yes.
ours, man. You're always there, and I couldn't ask for a better supporter and somebody I like to consider just overall a friend.
And a good family member to
yes.
the community. So
Yes, for sure. So,
Thank you.
but no, man.
Make sure to set an extra plate at Thanksgiving. I'll be over.
yeah. Oh,
Well,
I
we
can
will.
probably
I'm
do
just kidding.
that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But no, we
I'm kidding.
love you guys. We love Bechtster.
Yes.
Everybody who's a part of the task force crew. And if we got to if we got to see you at Radio Silence, you know how much we actually really love you. So thank you guys for being you. We love you, and we'll see you on the next episode.